Hey, this is Dave from MetalEpidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What is up, guys? Dave, Duncan and Kyle back from Metal Epidemic, back for another album review. And for this review, Duncan, Kyle and I have been checking out the new album from Norwegian rockers Maktkamp. The band's new album is called
I Affekt.
Thank you, Kyle. And that will be released on January 21st. We have a resident Norwegian in the group, which is all good for this review, because I do not know.
Finally paying off, Dave. After months and months, now we get our money's worth.
Yes.
Instead of bluffing my way through Danish.
Same. This is the debut album from Norway's Maktkamp, and the album was recorded and produced at Redline Studios by the band themselves and mixed by guitarist Marius Belby. Mastering was done by Ruben Willem at Caliban Studios, who is renowned for his contributions on productions with Norwegian rock, within the Norwegian rock scene, with Kvelertak, Okasa, and recently also Norwegian Grammy Award winners Occultokrati? Is that how you pronounce that?
Nailed it.
I guess so. Yeah.
The artwork, which is fucking awesome by the way,
yes.
Was hand-drawn by cartoon artist Sigbjorn Lilling. There we go. The band recently played for a full house at Subscene during Oslo Music Fest, and is currently working on stitching together a tour of Norway, with the first gig already confirmed at Vaterland Stage in Oslo.
Oh. I'll be there.
So a whimsical Kyle appeared all of a sudden. Misty-eyed. Oh, that's a nice wee venue, that.
Yeah.
That place is great. They do pizza and metal. It's fantastic.
Sold. Well, Dave,
yeah.
get the tickets booked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's only right that we start with the resident Norwegian on the Metal Epidemic panel on this review. Seeing as the band are Norwegian, Kyle, I thought let's ask Kyle what he thinks of the new Maktkamp.
This is going to backfire on Dave horribly when you just do it all in Norwegian.
Det kan jeg godt gjøre, ja.
I'll just do that. Yeah. I was going to say that. Yeah. Don't do that, Kyle. No, what did you
all
actually
right
think?
then, I'll speak English for once.
Thank you. What did you make of this? What was this up your street, or what do you think?
It was, it took me a couple of listens to get into it, to be honest.
Okay.
Like the first one was it's very rock and roll. I'm not really into that kind of thing, but after giving it a couple of listens, I was like, yeah, man, this is actually really grooving. I like it a lot. The production's it's all right. The drums are a bit I'm going to ignore it. But I really enjoyed the rest of the production. It was pretty good. Considering the band did it themselves, it was wow, you did a really good job on a debut album. I don't know how old these guys are, but they can't be that old because they're going 100 miles an hour throughout the whole album.
Yeah. And
they're stitching a tour together during a pandemic, and they've played all over the place. So it's you guys are young, so
yeah.
you're not up to our age yet. Oh my god. But no. Listening to it though, I picked out they've got a lot of different styles, and they've managed to they've got obviously lots of different influences, rock and roll and heavy metal and black metal even and stuff. There's the way they mix, they go from a rock and roll good riff like that and then just blend into a blast beat is what the fuck? I had no idea that could be done, and they did it. And I enjoyed it. First time it happened, I was wow. And then they go from the black metal screamy kill your throat vocal into gang vocal anthem singing on a chorus, on the Fyravolt song, track 3, which means fire off everything, literally translated. And it's it kept me hooked in for quite a long way through the album. I was it got a bit the last couple of tracks I think were maybe it just kind of got a little bit too much and a little bit okay, I've heard what you've got to offer, especially after the last track was called Insikt, which means insight. That was really good. That would have been a perfect album ending. And I think the last couple of songs are okay, I've heard what you've got to offer now, but they're still good songs. It was just it's more of the same, if you know what I mean.
Uh-huh.
I think if they've shifted, I think if they shifted the order and put Insect at the end, it would have been perfect. But I think they wanted to break up the thing and end on something a bit more powerful. Yeah. Other than that, no, I think it was great. I think the name of the song, Homo Electris, is fucking brilliant.
It's kind of amazing,
yeah. It doesn't even really mean anything in Norwegian as far as I know, so I'm like, it's just perfect. It made me smile as soon as I read it, and the song's good. I love the way they blend it all together. They clearly have done a very good job, and they know how to write songs. They're not just, it's not riff salad. It's not like just one thing followed by another. They know how to write songs and keep you interested and have a hook and a proper composition and everything. So I was really impressed, especially for a first-time album with those all those different influences they mentioned, and it's great. So I really enjoyed it.
Cool. I would say I enjoy a bit of Kvelertak every now and again.
Yeah, it's difficult to listen to this band and not make the comparison.
100%. Yeah, I like.
Even down to the artwork, which I do love, but it does have an owl with antlers on it, which is basically what the singer from Kvelertak wears. So
yeah, true. I like Kvelertak, but I think, and I'll probably get shot for this, but I think they're slightly overhyped.
You can get yourself in the fucking bin,
just a little. I think, like, when I listen to Kvelertak albums, I think they have some real, like, standout tracks where you're just like, yes, this is fucking awesome everywhere. Can't deny that. But for me, I think the albums kind of vary in quality for me. I think their last album, Split, is probably their most consistent album to date.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
But there's still a few skippable tracks for me on that album. I said it, not going back, it's recorded on the internet forever.
Well, you're editing, so
yeah, true. But I still think there's just moments on those albums where I'm just a bit like, this is just all right. You probably think to yourself, why is Dave still yapping about Kvelertak? We're here to find out what he has to say about Maktkamp.
Yes,
and that's a fair point. So let's do that. Like, as you said, you can make the comparison straight away. It's there from the get-go, and you maybe think to yourself, well, why should I listen to this, Dave? I can listen to the latest Kvelertak album. What's the point?
Dave is speaking for the people a lot in this review.
For the people, I put the people first, Duncan.
Put the people.
What I would say though is, you're going to be missing out on something pretty fucking great here, because Maktkamp are absolutely ones to watch. Here we are on album number 1, and just let that sink in for a second. Their first album, and in my opinion, these guys have put out an album that competes with some of Kvelertak's most recent work. Some would say their best work. Some being me, obviously.
I was going to say, would that be Dave by any chance?
Maktkamp have that like Scandinavian charisma. They're Norwegian, it's in their DNA. They've got the hooky punk rock riffs, they've got the high energy drumming, the driving bass, and those like vocals that switch between like dipped in honey and like dipped in broken fucking glass. And like, just to pick up on what Kyle was saying, that the scream on that guy, like the tone is like, wow, like it's like Virgin on black metal, but it never fully goes there. It's still got a bit of that kind of like punk rock kind of heart to it. But like the blend is awesome, like a really, really nice tone. But then when the melody kicks in, you're like, God damn, that's so smooth. Like, I was thinking to myself, is it the same guy, or is this like other members of the band that are doing the kind of melody? There's clearly backing vocals there to kind of thicken things up. But still, like whoever's doing it, like it's brilliant. I love that kind of like back and forth between the kind of very visceral screaming and the melody. But aside from that, I found this album just so infectious. Like, when people say, "Oh, that track's a toe tapper,"
Yeah.
No.
What fucking era are we in now? Honestly,
no, that's just me. Just me that says that. Well, this album is a toe tapper. The riffs, the riffs are very kind of lead based. And that's something that Kvelertak do as well, but they've still got a lot of kind of drive, a lot of energy behind them. I think because the riffs are very kind of leady in a kind of like, it wasn't a kind of like Thin Lizzy type way. It leaves a bit of this kind of open space, and that's where the bass just comes in and takes more of a kind of spotlight. It's always there. Like, you can hear exactly what he's doing at all points on every track. Same with the drums. Sig Bjorn on drums, like, fucking hell. He's jumping from rock into like hardcore punk, and then, as you said, into like blast beats. He's all over the place, but it's all done in a really kind of interesting way. I suppose, like, when I first stuck this on, I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, because I was like, when I first said it, I was like, oh yeah, this sounds kind of familiar. But when I finished it, I was in such a good mood after the album finished, and I just put it straight back on again. And I put it back on again not because like I was reviewing it and I wanted to like pick it apart. I just really enjoyed it. It was a very, very easy listen, and I didn't mind. Like, obviously, usually I have a bit of an issue with the whole like not non-English vocals, like, because I'm like struggling to understand what the songs are about, and trying to make a connection with it. And usually that's something that will stop me from fully kind of getting on board with an album. But I actually think the vocals are one of the best things about this album. There was a mass of like hooks and the riffs, and like the kind of change ups rhythmically. So I was just like, I was kind of completely sold on it right across the board, to be honest. I think this is brilliant, and I need a t-shirt with that artwork on it as well, guys. So if you wouldn't mind trying putting that together, that'd be perfect. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this.
Trying to book a tour in a pandemic and create a t-shirt for Dave.
Yes, please. That'd be awesome. Do it, yeah. Duncan, what about yourself? What do you think?
Well, let me just kind of do what Dave did to start with. Yeah, the Kvelertak thing is, I think it's without a band like that, there is no band like this.
True, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at all. The reason that band has gained the following it has, and maybe the critical acclaim, which Dave would argue to an extent is maybe not fully warranted, is because there's no other band doing what they're doing until now. So, like, there isn't at the forefront of mixing specifically that kind of with the Scandinavian vibe that they do, where you've got that kind of 70s Scandinavian rock sound blended in with kind of high octane punk energy, and something a bit nasty in the background as well. The biggest difference between the two bands primarily is, I would say, the production, more than anything, and the fact that Maktkamp really have a good kind of leaning towards doing like catchier choruses. Like, they're a hookier band than Kvelertak are by a million miles. Yeah. But then I also don't think that Kvelertak are a band that are trying to write catchy songs, if you know what I mean. Even when they do the rock stuff, it kind of never really feels like, well, this one's a banger. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the other way around. It's kind of like, it kind of fits what the lead guitar's doing, and the vocals kind of follow along with that. But in this one has its own sense of kind of personality, and that to me is the biggest difference. That and the production. A Kvelertak album, weirdly at times, still feels relatively vintage in its production. Yeah. Whereas this sounds shiny. And I like that about it. Like, you were mentioning the bass earlier on. The bass is like very prominent in parts. In fact, at other parts is the driving force of many of the songs, which I really enjoyed. I think that's what differentiates the two. I think when it comes to these guys here, they have a good grasp on what they're mixing in, and whilst it's maybe not the most original thing I've heard, because there's another band in the same country doing something a bit grittier sounding, I think there is, like, I've said it before, there's nothing worse than having a band that you really like or a sound that you really like and you have to wait 4 years for an album. Like, if there's a band out there doing something that can keep you going, keep you interested, and all the rest, I think that's great. And there's a lot to really enjoy about this. The guitar work's great. I think the songwriting's really good. I love the drumming. And for the most part, I thought the album kind of held together really, really well. The longer songs on the album are the ones that are more in line with melody and hooks. So track 3, track 6 and track 9 are the ones that to me feel like, oh, these could be singles. And the other ones are the ones where you're really getting blasted in the face with heavier, punkier attitudes and blast beat. You know, all that stuff is kind of coming in between. I wouldn't actually disagree with Kyle on the length either. I think there's maybe one song too much on this, but I'd be lying if I could say, oh, well, it's that one. So it then comes down to what song would I remove, and then that's just like I can see why they've done it like this way, because I couldn't pick one that I think is inferior by a margin that it shouldn't be on the album. But this to me feels like it could be a very powerful, very concise 30-minute album. And it's only 36 minutes, so I'm not like, you know, I'm not. I just don't want to like oh, Duncan says it's too long. Not that way at all. I think there's more than enough room for a band to be in the same genre as Kvelertak and be doing what these guys are doing, and it is different enough that it stands out. And their spin on it, I think, is a more commercial version of that, whilst at times being a more extreme version. Like their extremity is more extreme than Kvelertak, and their melody is more melodic. So it's like they've taken that confine and stretched it out either side. I think that's cool. They're definitely a band to watch. I think that they're one that part of the world, like Norway in particular. There's some really, really, really interesting kind of punk stuff that band looped from last year. I fucking still play that album on loop. I love it. So there's a lot of really interesting stuff coming out from that part of the world, and this just is another band to put on your radar. So yeah, I thought it was great.
Nice. Okay, so ratings for this new album from Maktkamp. Kyle, what do you think?
I'm gonna go, I think 4/5.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
You know, you took the words right in my mouth there, Kyle. Yeah. I'm going to agree with Kyle. This is a 4 out of 5 for me, a very solid album. Duncan?
4/5.
Oh, look at you.
4 out of 5.
Nice. So this one drops on January 21st. It's out pretty soon. I'll put some links below to the band's Facebook. If there's any pre-orders or band camps and stuff, I'll stick that in there as well. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Stick some comments in. That's the review. Thanks for checking it out. Much appreciated. We'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Ha det på badet.